Hey, this is Scotty Reed with Black Talk Radio News. Thought I'd come outside and do a video. It is a beautiful day here in North Carolina. Just love the weather that we've been getting lately. I don't know if it has anything to do with global warming, but it really has not been that cold here in North Carolina since the winter season started. What prompted me to do this video, I was on Facebook and someone posted a video of some comments made on the floor of the House of Representatives by Alan West, who is a black Republican, a black conservative who represents a predominantly white district in Florida. And the substance of his comments had to do with Black History Month. And so he went on there to talk about how the Republican Party, after, Lincoln emancipated the slaves, and how, they were the only one to vote in favor of issues that, impact the black community back then. And even though we didn't get, voters' rights protections until the 1960s with the passing of the 1964 Voting Rights Act. But what he was trying to say is that Republicans have always voted historically on issues to help black people, and that's just false. That is just a false statement. And yes, it's true, the Republican Party was started largely with the help of Frederick Douglass, who was constantly in Lincoln's ear demanding that he allow black soldiers to serve in the Civil War, and also, advocated for the emancipation of slaves. Without Frederick Douglass, it never would have happened, okay? And so, yes, the Republican Party, if you want to go that far back, that many years, you can say, yes, they did vote for legislation that was favorable to black people. But I learned a piece of history myself here recently. We did a program Thursday night with speech of Arrested Development, and we kind of talked, we're talking politics and stuff like that. And I relayed to him about this documentary that I watched on one of our local television stations, and I just happened to just catch this particular segment because I don't watch a whole lot of TV. But they were talking about, when black people in the 1960s were registering to vote and the opposition that they was facing, but they didn't really belong to predominantly to one party or another. And so for whatever reasons, these black people in the Deep South, in this particular state they were focusing on was Mississippi, they started registering as Democrats. Remember, we heard that old saying that, the racist elements in the Democratic Party left the Democratic Party and joined the Republican Party, and that is a true story. But what they're not telling you is they didn't just leave. They were forced out of the Democratic Party by many of the new black voters that were participating in huge numbers in the political process. I mean, they weren't just voting, okay? They were involved in all different levels of the political process, from caucusing for candidates that they liked and turning out to the primaries and, electing delegates and stuff like that. And so they pushed those racist elements out of the Democratic Party. Now, that's not to say that the Democratic Party doesn't have any racist elements within it. I mean, today you can just look at Mayor Michael Bloomberg up there in New York and what his administration and the New York Police Department is doing to black people up there. But Alan West is insincere in his commentary about like the Republican Party is the friend of the black people today, because I mean, just before I did this video, I just read a story on yourblackworld.net about this Republican aide to a Republican governor in Maryland has just been sentenced, and all he got was like 30 days, but he was just sentenced for trying to make black people miss the vote. He was giving out incorrect information and stuff like that, and they had like some robocalls that was calling black people and giving them wrong information about, turning out to vote and stuff. And so it was seen as an effort to suppress the black vote in the state of Maryland, and he just got sentenced to 30 days house arrest. So you know, that just tell you how serious they take voter fraud or suppression of the black vote in Maryland. And then when you look at the Republican Party today, you know, all of these voter ID laws that they've tried to pass, they tried to pass it here in North Carolina as well, but it got vetoed by the governor. But, you know, now the Justice Department is involved with a battle in South Carolina, which is headed up by Republican Governor Nikki Haley, and they passed the voter ID law. You got it in Georgia, you got it in a number of different states, and they trying to say that they trying to protect the integrity of our elections and to prevent voter fraud. But just if you look at all the states where voter fraud has occurred, it is in very, very, very minute numbers. For example, here in North Carolina in 2008, there were like 5 million or more votes cast in that 2008 election, and only five cases of voter fraud came out of 5 million votes cast. So how is voting fraud a problem? It's not a problem. Okay, so why are the Republicans behind all of these voter ID laws? It's because they want to limit the political power and the political influence of black people, just plain and simple. So don't buy into that crap from David West, because to me, he is a sellout. He has sold, again, he represents a primarily white district, okay? And he's gonna say stuff to rile up their racist elements that's in their party to get reelected, you know, to gain stature in the Republican Party, in the GOP. So he's definitely a sellout. You know, even if he loses in his next election, I'm sure they'll have a spot for him on Fox News. You know, so yes, the Republicans historically have been behind some legislation that have been favorable to black people in America, but since the 1960s, no. I mean, it was Nixon, a Republican, who came up with the Southern strategy to rile up the white vote, the white racist male vote. So, Alan West, I wouldn't be pointing to him or holding him up as any kind of standard for black people. Do I think that black people should join the Republican Party? Absolutely. To do what the black people did in the 1960s to push the racist elements out. And as a black person, I'm not loyal to any party because both of them, you know, have elements that are not friendly to black people within them. But we have to educate ourselves as voters, and we have to vote strategically as a people. And if that means voting for a moderate Republican who's going to concede some issues to us, then so be it. If it means voting for a Democrat that we think is doing a good job in addressing our issues, then vote for that Democrat. If it's a Green Party, if the Green Party is on the ballot in your state, my point is we need to be educated and not voting for one party over the other, especially with straight tickets. We need to be educated on each individual and elect individuals on the merit of what they're campaigning on. This is Scotty Reed for Black Talk Radio News. Visit us online at blacktalkradionetwork.com, and also check out my show, Black Talk Radio News, which airs Monday through Friday from 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time to 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Peace.